Ah yes, hello. I've been gone for a little while, huh? I need a little break, and I've been working full-time at my actual job, so I haven't had much time to sit down and record. However, it's been over 6 months since my last upload. I'm very sorry. As you can see though, by this new format on my channel, I haven't forgotten about any of you. I've just been very mentally and physically exhausted. To the point I've been half tempted to down a bottle of NyQuil and go to sleep for a month. We have time to talk about that at a later date though. So, given the fact Halo Infinite has released, I wanted to take a look back at an infamous competitor to Halo's crown and legacy. Said game even went as far as being the reason for the development studio's closure at the hands of Ubisoft. Halo Killer, more like Halo Killed Ya. Yes, as some of you may already know, to those select few of my viewers that can actually read the titles of my videos, you know we are talking about Haze. Haze, a Ubisoft title developed by Free Radical Entertainment exclusively for the PS3, is set in a dystopian future, which, let's face it, in media dystopian futures are always the best ones, but in real life they would most definitely be the worst. In this dystopian hellscape, a group called the Mantel Corporation rule the world with a hot new drug on the block called Novoketo-Pyrazine, or known on the streets as Nectar. You know, a super dangerous, deadly war zone, and instead giving them the illusion of a painless, more idyllic environment. So, being deployed to the boa region of South America, and realising as I'm writing this that could actually be a play on words, as boa constrictors are a highly venomous snake, and nectar doesn't sound like the most healthy pastime for Mantel soldiers. I'm probably reading way too much into it though. F***ing hippies. The thing is though, when these guys take a super nutritional drug, they get a rush of testosterone, turning them into some of the most cringy dude bros going. Like, they sound like the most generic group of douchebags out there.
Feeling good, buddy? You look psyched, hell, you look so good I wish I was you. It's gonna be a fun day.
We're on guard at the top of the world today!
There's views there that would put your imagination to shame.
Come on, man! We're late! Later than, I can't think of nothing, man, but we're super late, come on!
But added to that, this testosterone and lust to kill turns them all into bloodthirsty killers, and it really draws on the line of the morality of war. Right off the bat, I have so many problems with this game. Sure, the premise is interesting and exciting, but the gameplay is run-of-the-mill shooty bang bang type stuff. The enemies all wear shades of green, and during the first level you're in a jungle. I'm sure you can work out why that sucks. The controls are really strange too. R1 to shoot is okay, pretty standard. So L1 should be ADS and zoom, right? No, it's grenade. R3 is zoom, L3 is to crouch, R2 is to melee, square is your basic interact and reload setup. I can't even begin to describe how horrible these controls are actually to use. The melee in this game is so useless too. Unless you are pressed up against your opponent like uncomfortably close, you won't connect with them.
Watch your step, buddy. The satellite says you're coming up on a valley packed full of bad guys. Give me a minute to clear them out. Base, this is 555 actual. Multiple hostile contact.
Remember, this game came out in 2008, only a few months before Call of Duty 4, a game that feels far better with its controls that haven't changed since the series began. So it's not like they could even use the excuse of, oh, shooters are a new thing, especially to us, especially seeing as Ubisoft acquired the Far Cry IP in 2006. The game is also no stranger to massive frame dips and intense areas. Like, if I'm in a fight and there's a load of enemies on screen, muzzle flashes and explosions, then the frame rate will just shit itself and slow to a crawl. It's really apparent when you get to the first driving segment in the game. There's mines and gunshots going off, as well as boulders falling off the cliff. The frame rate just craps out and tanks to what feels like the low teens. The game crashed on me numerous times in this area too. So, a few missions in, your Nectar dispersal unit craps out and stops administering the drug to your character. Your character, one Shane Carpenter, has hallucinatory visions and moments where he sees the world for what it really is, rather than how it is perceived while he's doped off his tits on Nectar.
Taking ground! You're not going anywhere, motherfuckers! Ah! Ah! Ah!
You
Ah!
fucking... We're trying to free you people. No one steals our meds. Go buy yourself a... Listen up. We've got Skinco cornered in there. And I don't know about you boys, but I'm in the mood for a medal.
Rawhide, baby!
Go, go, go!
Nectar basically filters out all the blood from you and horror from your consciousness, giving you a false reality of the atrocities that the Mantel Corporation are committing in their fight against the South American rebels. You pass through a factory in chase of the leader of the rebels, Gabriel Skincoat Marino, passing through a copper factory where Mantell had already been on a mission previously. Carpenter has only recently taken command of his squad and had no idea that the boys he is fighting alongside have murdered civilians in the factory. While Carpenter is seeing this and understands that's a war crime, he says nothing, as if the others find out his nectar injector isn't working, he'll likely be killed or court-martialed. Overhearing his squadmate Morgan Duvall's justification for this, though, he states that an empty hand is just a grip away from holding a weapon.
I'll lead. Follow me.
Sound like you know where you're going.
I do.
He's been here before.
We stormed this place a few weeks back. All we found were empty hands.
Empty hands?
Why do I teach you boys?
An empty hand is just a grip away from holding a gun.
So?
You gotta take them down before they can pick it up. Boosh!
Carpenter's injector keeps failing and he keeps getting moments where he sees the horrors of his squad's actions. The visions may only last seconds, but Carpenter is realizing they may not be the good guys after all.
Take your position!
Duval, you copy? I opened the door to Section D. I'm headed downstairs now. But something weird is happening to me. I think I need a medic. Do you copy?
After chasing Marino through the factory and capturing him, quizzing him on why he's known as Skincoat, Marino is surprised to hear he has earned such a nickname and gestures to his vest. He makes a joke to Carpenter saying, "You like it? 100% cotton." This line actually got a chuckle from me.
I got him!
We'll be there in a minute. Hold him. If he speaks, smash his teeth in. Duval out.
I suppose I'd better not speak then.
Shut up!
Was that you, commanding officer?
Shut up! He's a sergeant.
A sergeant? Like you? Sounds like he's taking charge to me. This is a strange place, war. Somewhere where we take orders from people we wouldn't give the time of day to in the real world.
Shut up or you lose your teeth, skin coat!
Is there propaganda that sweet, that you guzzle it down without a second thought? What have you heard? That I eat people? That I wear their skins as a coat? You like it? 100% cotton.
Your squad takes him up to the surface via an elevator, and it's on this elevator that Carpenter witnesses the sheer cruelty of his squad. He watches Duval begin to torture Marino, cutting off a finger. Marino also said to Shane, "There are two sides to every war. Are you sure you're on the right side?"
Elevator. Hold its arms. Good work, buddy.
Oh man, this is gonna be bad for you.
You speak American? Now, I admit I don't always live by the principles of our Lord God. But you know what? He does have some good ideas. Eye for an eye. You ever hear that before? It means if you take something from me, then I have a right to take something from you. You took my meds, my nectar. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna take your finger.
Getting on the helicopter, Carpenter witnesses Duval trying to torture Marino again, claiming one finger isn't enough to pay for what Marino has done, and tries to cut off Marino's entire hand. Carpenter pulls his gun on Duval, and after a short confrontation, your helicopter crashes.
What? Did you forget something?
You should run. They know you're not like them.
Carpenter, get aboard, now! That's an order! I know your kind. You know, people like you are pacifists between wars. It's like being a vegetarian between meals. So when it comes to eating some steak, you don't know how the f to do it. But not me. I'm a carnivore. A real meat eater. Don't be one of the apes, buddy. Apes are animals, and animals are just food to me. Let's get the fuck out of here! Looks like we need to drop off a prisoner and a pussy!
Here, puss, puss, puss! Pussy!
You know, sir, what you said about an eye for an eye, it's true. But I think Skincoat here took a whole lot more than just one finger's worth.
Yeah!
Oh? Well, how much do you think he took?
Maybe a couple of hands worth. Yeah, he owes us 2 hands.
Well, all right then. Typical. What are you gonna do? Huh? Shoot me?
Motherfucker! Ah! What's going on back there? Oh, fuck!
Waking up from the crash in a swamp with your squad seemingly MIA, Carpenter tries to inform command of his inability to administer nectar and calls for a medic. He is experiencing withdrawals from the drug and hallucinations, but are they hallucinations or the bitter slap of reality? Your radio is busted though, and so you're unable to send word that you need assistance. Mantel can be heard over the same radio, however, which is broken to outgoing messages, sending their special forces marking him for death by issuing a code Haze, which is an order to eliminate with extreme prejudice. But, get it guys, because it's the name of the game. So Mantel sends in their Black Ops division, more elite soldiers than their Amber counterparts. These guys are professionals and not wired to the nines with drugs. Shane escapes with the help of a Promised Hand soldier who hides him in a passage underground. The Promised Hand, by the way, are the guys you've been fighting this entire time, so the fact you weren't shot on sight is rather amazing to me, but he's told by this freedom fighter that Marino wanted him alive.
There is a place you can hide. Follow me. Reno wants to protect you. Come on! Down here! Quiet.
Stay silent. They could still hear us.
Clear. Clear.
This way.
This way!
This way. Follow me. Otro más. Mira, ya son muchos. Sí, ya son muchos, ya no sé qué hacer. Tengo que decirle a Merino. Estoy muy preocupado. No me gusta nada. A mí tampoco. Debemos hablar con él. Sí, yo le digo. Pero es muy peligroso. Ten cuidado. Ten mucho cuidado.
Let me carry him.
So Carpenter is rescued by Marino and the Promised Hand. He's put into the freedom fighters' care and assigned a medbay, which is a sort of field hospital. Marino explains that the elevator ride up, he witnessed Carpenter display compassion towards Marino, which is unheard of amongst the other Mantel grunts due to the nectar.
This is not a place of suffering.
It's happening to me.
You're regaining your humanity. Don't talk, just listen. If we make our body need something, our body will punish us when we try and take it away. We don't fully understand it, but the drug they give you protects your mind from seeing the things you do. It keeps your view of the world neat and tidy, no matter how much you mess it up. Your body has come to need it, so now it is punishing you. In the copper plant, in the elevator, you did something that I have not seen one of you soldiers do before. You sympathized. You're different. Rest now. When you're ready, maybe we will find out why.
It is during this conversation that a freedom fighter runs up to them and urges them to get ready as Mantell are here.
Motherfucking apes!
Hey, cover!
You motherfucking apes! You're meat! Boosh!
We were unable to remove the drug administrators from your people.
Those are not my people!
Good! Because it's just you and me against them.
I knew it. The second I laid eyes on you, buddy. You're not a carnivore. You're meat. Just like them. Look at you. You're an ant under my magnifying glass. A pig under my carving knife. But a good piece of meat needs to be hung first. It needs to bleed out before it's ready to be eaten. So bleed out!
Mira, tenemos que entrar adentro.
Meat! Target down!
Sir! Wait for us!
Clean up this area, then head back to base! You're gonna get medals for this, boys!
Get the guns!
I did notice a weird texturing bug here with the shadows on Marino popping in and out during the conversation. Not a big thing, but it is odd.
I'm a traitor.
But to what? What reason did your superiors give you for being here?
Ethnic cleansing. Crimes against humanity.
Which ethnicity is being cleansed?
I don't know.
What crimes against humanity? Before Mantell arrived here, we didn't even have an army to speak of. Yes, you are a traitor, but now you're on the right side. You can fight with confidence.
Mantell are indeed there, and who else would it be but your old squad? Duval, Pesci and Watchstrap.
You're fucking dead, sir! You're dead!
After a brief confrontation, you kill Pesci and Watchstrap, but Duval escapes, telling Carpenter he is just like an animal, a primitive ape, likening the rebels to the same. This is where Carpenter begins to realise that everything he's been told from Mantell is a lie.
Did you escape? Oh, God. Oh, shit. It's gonna be okay. 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 It's gonna be okay.
But if you're not doing anything bad, why did Mantell send us here?
That's what we need to find out. My name is Gabriel Merino.
Shane Carpenter.
Can you come down here, please? We found the location for that distress signal.
We are on our way.
And sure, while it makes sense to have a moment like this in a game, killing off your squad, I feel that should have been the end point. It should have happened a lot later in the game. Hell, maybe have like a double agent type of storyline, rather than killing off your former friends like it's nothing. I do, however, understand why this happens, as now Carpenter sees himself as a traitor to Mantell, and knows he'll be killed by their soldiers. Marino assures him, however, that he is on the right side now, and Carpenter swears allegiance to Marino in hopes of bringing down Mantell and putting right the atrocities they have committed. Carpenter, whilst on a mission for Marino, receives a distress call from a wrecked freight ship on the coast of the heavily fortified beach. Shane finds that once he takes shelter in the ship from the pursuing Mantell soldiers, they back off, almost as though the nectar is stopping them from seeing the ship. Maybe there's something inside they aren't supposed to see. This is what we in the Bears call foreshadowing. Shane navigates his way through the ship and finds Tyr, another of Carpenter's former squad. Tyr's face looks awful as he genuinely looks like an addict with spots of grey skin, sunken and bloodshot eyes as well. Tyr has something to show you and he opens a cargo container revealing it's full of piled up bodies of Mantell soldiers.
These are all Mantell soldiers. And there's not a single bullet wound amongst them.
What happened to them?
Tyr explains he knows several of the bodies in there, claiming he recognises his former sergeant, drill instructor and a few recruits amongst the mass grave. He states that none of the bodies have bullet holes and tells Carpenter they died from nectar overdoses. He also says he was the one to fuck with your nectar supply, recalling back to a moment earlier in the game where Tyr says to you, "Your nectar pack is loose, sir, let me get that for you." Tyr also explains that the only reason Mantell are deployed in Boa is because of the nectar plants that they want to destroy to prevent anyone else from cashing in on their pharmaceutical monopoly.
Did you ever see the Mantell soldiers dressed in black? Those are special forces. They only call them in on black ops. The real top secret stuff. I kept an ear on the radio down here monitoring. You know how the special forces have been spending their days? Burning plants. There's some kind of plant in this area, something rare they use to make nectar. It's all about money. Fucking profit margins. They're burning plants so no one else can synthesize nectar. Us grunts are down here taking over the country so Mantell Incorporated can corner the pharmaceuticals market. No wonder the rebels been fighting us tooth and nail. We have no right to be here.
There's no genocide or humanitarian crisis in Boa at all.
What happened to these soldiers?
Think about it! All dead, no wounds. The one thing they all had in common, that we all have in common, is nectar. A performance enhancer, antidepressant, whatever you want to call it. It killed them. Someone put these soldiers in here so we wouldn't question what nectar does to us. So we wouldn't lose confidence in our cause.
But why hasn't it killed the rest of us?
Maybe it will.
How can we stop the drug?
I don't know. It's controlled remotely from somewhere.
They'd need somewhere on high ground.
The observatory.
Gabrielle? Marino, do you copy?
I copy.
Get your people ready to move on the observatory in the north of the Boa Valley. That's the high point.
The observatory, of course. Radio me when you get out of there, and I'll come and get you.
After surmising that Mantell's broadcast tower would have been at the highest point in the region, they agreed that the observatory would be the best place to find a Mantell antenna. It is at this point, however, a Black Ops Mantell soldier shoots Tyr.
Take the shot.
Just listen to me, Carpenter. When you have all the information, it's easy to make the right decision.
So, using the information Shane has learned, he's able to plan out a way to stop Mantell for good. With the help of Marino and the Promised Hand, he surmises that attacking the Mantell camp at the observatory will put a stop to Mantell's inhumane actions once and for all. Then Marino tells Shane of a missile carrier that they will use to aid them in their assault on the observatory. And this turns into an escort mission where you can't move too far ahead of the missile carrier. They say that it's because it's damaged and this is used as the reason the thing moves so slow. To me that just sounds like I'm too lazy to code it to go any faster, so fuck it, it's broken.
We need to give them a few minutes for repairs.
Almost ready, sir. But there's a problem. The axle is cracked. If we drive too fast, it will snap. The whole thing will be immobilized.
Damn it. All right. We need to walk across with it. Shane, we must protect this missile. It's all we have left to use against the Mantell land carrier.
Once you get it across the bridge, you have to arm bombs beneath the bridge. Like, how many boring video game sins can you commit in one level? Escort missions and time fetch quests.
That's one down. Where's the next one?
Looking for the bomb on the maintenance level of Tower B.
So using the missile to destroy the gates of the observatory, you fight your way inside, taking out the observatory's AA defences. When you get inside, you find this huge tower that's drawing power from the observatory's power supply. You destroy its power and the thing comes crashing down.
Shane, you've done it! You've done it, haven't you?
Yeah, I got it. How did you know?
The Mantell troopers here are acting strange. Very strange. We've got a helicopter en route to you, but you need to take out the automatic AA guns first.
I'm on it.
At this point, the Mantell soldiers start freaking out and suffering from the nectar inhibitors playing up. Whether they're getting too much or not enough isn't really made clear.
I think I did something bad. Excuse me? Did I do something bad? I did something bad. I did something bad. Oh God, I did something bad. I threw her in the fire. I threw her in the fire. I did something bad. Sir! Sir! Sir, you're hurt! Sir! 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 Sir!
Many of the troops are largely defenseless, so Marino tries to then attack the Lancaria HQ. Shane, however, is largely reluctant as the Mantell soldiers are largely defenseless and Shane has a moral compass. Seems to be the only one in his fucking game that does. Marino convinces Shane that it's for the best, and so Shane, on the back of a jeep using a minigun, starts taking out the Land Cruiser's defences. This turret section is absolutely horrendous because of the amount of camera shake present in the mission. It isn't helped by zoom being bounced at R3 either, really, but still.
We need to sever the cables running underneath the carrier first to disrupt the lock. It's a long shot.
It's all we've got, but you'll have to shoot down their defenses before you go under. Get those guns before they get on.
So, after slogging through that horrible turret section, you board the Mantell Land Cruiser, you fight your way along the boardwalks to get to the control room, where you are then tasked with a protect mission. Basically a wave defense type of mission that is another lazy trope of video game creation.
If I can overload each of them in turn, that should be enough to do it.
Good luck.
He's gonna blow his mind a little.
Defense grid at 75%.
He's gonna blow his mind a little.
So after a brief cutscene of Duval monologuing about how he still has to carry on with his siege of South America and the Burra region, despite no longer being under the influence of Nectar, Carpenter and Duval begin to fight. There's nothing special about this fight, as it's so dull it actually hurts. He isn't really a boss type enemy, sure he's got more health than your average foe, but not by much.
Where do you think you're taking this thing?
All these fucking animals were too chicken shit to take control of themselves. So now I'm the captain. And I can go wherever the fuck I want!
You're not going anywhere. Just stop.
It's too late for you to come back to my family. You killed my boys.
You're not on Nectar now. You don't have to be crazy anymore. You can be normal.
What's crazy? How about I train to fight for a cause? I forge a bond with my fellow soldiers. Swear to follow orders, but then betray them and kill my friends on a whim. How about that? That sounds pretty crazy to me. I never did anything but try to protect you. But you take one knock on the head, and suddenly the world's wrong and you're right. Normality, buddy, is purely statistical. If 99 out of 100 people act one way, that's normal. It's majority rule. So you're the abnormal one, buddy. You are!
There's only 2 of us here now. So which one of us is normal?
Whichever one of us survives.
Fuck.
Like, seriously, a few clips and he goes down. He really didn't pose much of a threat at all. Then another cutscene plays, where Duval pleads with Carpenter, whilst in the grips of death, mind you. The dude is coughing and spluttering. He asks Carpenter not to tell his mummy what a naughty boy he's been. Obviously, not his exact words, but close enough.
Please. Don't tell my mom.
And Shane replies with a tired, okay, and the screen fades to black as the credits roll. I'm sorry, what? No. I refuse for that to be the end of this game. I spent roughly 6 hours playing. Putting this into perspective, would you be happy if this being the ending to the films like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars? Would you fuck? So that wasn't a totally bad game, though I was thinking what happened to this game to make it flop. Sure, it could have been better, but even the greatest games ever can be better. So to unravel this mystery, we have to go all the way back to 2006. The game's creative director, Derek Littlewood, said in an interview with Gamasutra, a video game journalism site not to be confused with the Kama Sutra, very different search results than I'd hoped for. A surprise to be sure. but a welcome one. But speaking to Gamma Sutra's reporter Pierre Gaultier, the two discussed Derek's early career before transitioning to Free Radical's previous titles and the inspirations behind the game, because there were some big blockbuster hits on that inspired list. Derek goes on to mention how in Perfect Dark, when you threatened to kill a soldier, he would sometimes reply with, "I'm only doing my job." In Second Sight, your violent acts would be questioned by some of the NPCs in some chapters. Derek stated that he believed they were big parts of the game's inspiration for the premise. He goes on to sum up as a war game that becomes a game about war, wanting to tell a mature story, wanting instead to explore and highlight the complex moral issues associated with shooting human-like characters in video games, rather than just sweeping all of that under the rug and ignoring it. He went on to use Apocalypse Now as an example of the type of narrative that they wanted to set. First announced at 2006's E3, Haze was shown to be using a proprietary graphics engine developed specifically for use on Haze. After weighing up the pros and cons of buying a game engine to save time, they settled on making their own in order to not overinflate the budget and to have more of the freedom in the game's design and features. The engine provides various graphical effects. Lighting mainly is baked into the Haze engine, but it also has support for real-time lighting and a high dynamic range, particle and fire effects to help give the illusion of volume along with motion blur and real-time depth fields. The engine supports color specular maps, normal mapping and parallax mapping technologies. Haze runs at 30 frames per second. The team claimed that 60 frames per second was not needed for the pacing of the game. The AI system Conspired is designed to allow enemies to dynamically react to other characters and the environment. The odd part about this claim though is that Premiere Pro is saying that all my recordings are in 60 frames. Not sure I believe it, but hey. Personally, however, I found the over-reliance on bloom, motion blur and depth of field extremely unnecessary, and in some aspects of the game's visuals, these effects only hindered it. That added to the choppy 30 frames per second, which for a console game is fine, but it didn't keep to its 30 frames goal. Some areas of the game are also ridiculously dark, even with the brightness turned up. With you having no flashlight or night vision type of tool, it can be very difficult to see in these areas. Haze was meant to release for the Xbox 360 and the PC alongside its PS3 release in the summer of 2007. This date was pushed back to the winter of 2007, before Sony announced that Ubisoft had made the decision to make Haze a PlayStation exclusive title. The metal band Korn released a single called Haze, and Ubisoft made a new trailer for the game using the track. In April of 2008, Ubisoft announced a demo would hit the PlayStation Store. This demo featured the 4-player co-op mode that appears in the finished game. Under Rare's banner though, the Free Radical guys worked on and released Nintendo's 007 Goldeneye and the critically acclaimed Perfect Dark. Both Nintendo 64 titles, yet despite their success, they would part ways with Rare in the new millennium. Forming Free Radical Entertainment, the team found great success with Eidos Interactive, developing and releasing Time Splitters, a game with time travel, supernatural elements and alternate history all thrown into the mix. It was a resounding success and the team were off to a tremendous start. They followed up this blockbuster game with a sequel, Time Splitters 2, a game that in many ways features similar gameplay to GoldenEye. Time Splitters 2 was one of the first games to sell as a multi-platform game and make it into PlayStation's greatest hits and Xbox's platinum labels. From here, Free Radical made a prequel to Time Splitters called Future Perfect, and were approached by EA to start work on Star Wars Battlefront 3, but plans were later canned. It's at this point Ubisoft agreed to take them under their wing to publish Haze, spelling the potential of the game's premise. Free Radical were contracted to make this one game for Ubisoft, but were still free to work with other publishers on other titles. Activision came knocking with plans for a GoldenEye Remake, which was made and was going to be pretty easy for the guys who had made the original. But Nintendo and the bond rights holders said no. Activision would eventually release a game titled GoldenEye, but it was not a remake or re-release, instead just being its own game sharing the name. Then unfortunately, in December of 2008, Free Radical went bankrupt and had to resort to mass layoffs just to keep the company afloat before they were acquired by Crytek. Being acquired by Crytek, they became Crytek UK and moved to Nottingham. The critical reception to Haze wasn't all negative, and some reviewers praised it for its premise and setting, but almost all reviews mentioned its short single-player campaign, bland gameplay, awful AI, and lackluster multiplayer. Many commented on how from Free Radical they expected much bigger things. This was a surprise lapse in their up until that point stellar record. So the game wasn't shot on like maybe it should have been, and to be fair, I did find myself getting engrossed in the early story. The premise had a great hook, and I wanted to keep playing just to see what they would do with it. However, many puzzling factors of the story and gameplay presented themselves, and I found myself wondering if it was because the writers were sloppy or if it was because the game was much shorter than I was expecting. It was a bit of both, really. As I mentioned, killing your squad at the midpoint in the game seemed like a misplaced segment that would have been much better reserved for perhaps later in the game. Maybe not finding out that you were tripping balls right up until the end could have heightened the drama, like in Spec Ops: The Line, where Walker realizes what he has done, especially with this game's insistence on using war crimes. Haze will forever serve as a cautionary tale on how expectations can ruin a game before it even comes to fruition. Labeling games as Halo killers or Call of Duty killers sets up people for disappointment. The game was okay, not terrible, but it wasn't quite the Halo killer eager gamers wanted. It was also a cautionary tale to developers with great track records of how overambition can ruin a studio. A good concept, a great narrative hook, executed about as efficiently as Margaret Pole's beheading. The poor Countess suffered a dozen strikes by the executioner's axe before her head rolled. The worst part is that this game was so close to greatness, and engaging too. The story, a sweet plot and setting, but the pacing and narrative are extremely lackluster gameplay paired with a dated and often washed out graphics used with over-reliance on bloom and depth of field make this game feel like much more of a miss. I started off enjoying this game too. The questions the game asked of me as to what was happening were genuinely enough to keep me playing until it was all revealed by the midpoint of the game. From that point though, I finished the game mostly out of spite. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about this solidly mediocre game and its troubled development. I'm sorry I've been away for so long, I've just been rather exhausted, both mentally and physically. So I took a step away to focus on myself for a little while. But I'm back now, baby, onwards and upwards from here. Thank you for all the supporting messages I've received. They've really helped me to bounce back. Hi, this is Future Papa here. I've had to redo this bit because the camera was way too zoomed in. But anyway, yeah, I've had a lot of support recently, mostly from the guys over at E1M1 magazine. You guys have been a tremendous help, and as a way of saying thanks, allow me to shill for your magazine free of charge. E1M1 magazine is the first retro-only boomer shooter magazine. Every issue is packed full of reviews for upcoming and fresh boomer shooters on the market right now, or upcoming titles, as well as reviews of some of the classics, as throwback reviews. These guys even ship the magazines to your door with the occasional demo disc thrown in, so you can try the games that many of the devs in the E1M1 Discord have been working on. So check them out. The store page is down below, and so is their Discord link. So if you have a retro FPS game to show off that you've been working on, join the Discord and show us what you got. Or if you just feel like chatting about some nostalgic shooters, hop into the general chat and make some friends. They even host the occasional multiplayer night where they will get a lobby going for classic shooters for everyone to enjoy again like they were still much younger. It's a great place and the guys over there are all super chill and kind. I wouldn't be at this stage on YouTube if it wasn't for these guys, so in an effort to say thank you and share the love, I cannot recommend them enough. Their store page has all the back issues of magazines ready to buy and some little bonus ones too, so you can get them digitally or physically copies, if you're a Sigma child like me. They tend to launch Kickstarters to fund the cost of printing and shipping, so by joining their Discord you'll always be clued in as to when they go live with another funding goal. But seriously though, thank you for bearing with me during my little downer break from this site. I honestly love you guys so much for all the support you've given me over this past year. Remember that liking this video and leaving comments really helps to keep me motivated and keep on track with this YouTube grind. And also remember, as we approach New Year's, yet another lap around our great ball of fire in space, guys, especially listen closely. It's okay to not be okay. If you're feeling like you need to talk to someone, do it. I know you probably feel like nobody will want to hear it, but your families, friends, or even strangers on the internet are only a message away. Just remember to check in on your homies from time to time, regardless of what it is you're going through. There will always be someone to look out for you, even if you think otherwise. So message that friend you haven't seen in forever and arrange a drink. Hug your parents or grandparents and know that things will get better. That's my bit of Papa advice if you're going through hard times. Don't keep it bottled up. Talk to someone, it helps. Another little nugget of Papa advice is no matter what people say, it ain't gay to kiss your homies goodnight. Regardless, thank you for watching. I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Much love. I know this has been a long video, and to anyone that's still watching, thank you very much. In future, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these long videos in front of the camera. Don't feel like you have to watch it all in one. You can come back to it later. I'll try and include chapters and captions and stuff like that for you guys to make life a little easier on you, because I'm aware everyone has busy lives, okay? But if you stuck around watching a video this long, thank you very much. It means a lot.